Warning: the following contains explicit language and subject matter that may not be suitable for younger listeners, church folk, and people who enjoy kale smoothies.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Pod Amongst Men. I'm your host, Steve B. This is my assistant, Clyde B. And these are coffee break conversations for the 21st century. So if you're only listening, you can't see I'm holding a newborn. He's sleeping tenderly in my loving arms. Hopefully he won't have any sudden outbursts, but we're going to get through this pretty quick. So, obviously, I have a baby with me. My attention is quite divided, but luckily I was able to break away for a little bit this week. My guest today is Cody Frain. He's the drummer from the band A Scent Like Wolves. He was introduced to me through a mutual friend, and honestly, I really enjoyed talking to this guy. He was fucking cool, and we had a good conversation. Hopefully, it's the first of more to come. But we got into talking about the music business. He's well, I'm not gonna give it away, so I'll let him really talk about it more. I don't want to ruin his announcements. So here, without further ado, here's Cody Frain.
It was right after my band, A Scent Like Wolves, put out an album in February, and we paid we got a really nice PR agency called Atom Splitter to work the release. And
okay.
So I don't know. I just thought if I was like, maybe I booked this back in February and just forgot about it. Which actually, I think I was looking back at my messages. It was like March.
Yeah, I think it was like a month or so ago. Yeah,
but cool stuff. Yeah, I'm all about them. I like doing these, and you're cool dude. So I'm stoked to talk to you for a while. I like your questions too. They're not just super questions.
I listened to you were on the Decoding the Creative that show. I was listening to your interview there, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing the same kind of thing that they were. So that way, because a lot of times with podcasts, you'll see one person will be promoting a movie or something, and they'll go on 4 or 5 podcasts, and it's just the same interview over and over. And
I found that a lot with doing stuff with my band doing PR. I'm kind of new to the podcast thing from the last year, but I do notice that. It's nice when someone actually cares enough to look you up.
Yeah, well, listen, I want it to be good too. I don't want to just be asking you generic shit.
I had this one of the first ones I did. It was just somebody who had no idea what our band was, what I did, any information about the band, and it was just a guy he was in his 50s too, which is no problem, but he just was completely out of his element for this podcast. And I was just
that's common with radio DJs and stuff. Yeah,
it was just it was grueling to get through. I was just thinking, I was if I listen to this, I'm gonna hate myself. The things I'm having to say.
Well, even sometimes when you book your own guests, sometimes it just doesn't go the way you hope it is, and sometimes it doesn't. It's not always fun. Sometimes it's kind of a chore just to get through.
Yeah, well, it's some people. I don't know. Kind of an awkward guy, so how it is. It's hard to have a conversation with a stranger for an hour and a half if you're not vibing.
Yeah, that's true. If like you said, the vibe's off, then it just everything is the answers never go the way you think, and it's hard to go right into one topic to another.
Yeah, lots of close-ended answers and shit.
Yeah.
The longest one I ever had to do was 3.5 hours.
Really?
It just kept going, but the guy was so cool. It was this Canadian radio show. Mm-hmm. Dude was just super cool and knowledgeable, and we just ended up just shooting the shit for 3.5 hours. I looked at it and was oh my god, man!
Those are the best ones. They're the best ones.
Yeah,
but by the way, speaking of your album, Eastern Lights, bro, that's a fucking great song, man.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm really proud of it, honestly. We went on a hiatus for a while, just the duality of being a guy in your late 20s and trying to be in a metalcore band. But yeah, I'm happy it came out. I think it did really well for what we could. I actually got the honor and unique experience of putting it out myself through We Are Triumphant. I was the A&R who worked the entire thing. So it was it was interesting. It was
how much can you describe that feeling of pride? And not only were you one of the people responsible for making the music, you're also the one putting it out. You know what I mean?
It felt good, but we ended up getting 6 Billboard charts the first week, which was fucking awesome. I felt great doing that. But at the same time, it was kind of like nerve wracking. So I knew my guys would blame me completely if if I like mess something up. I just know they might not have said anything, but deep down they'll always hold that against me. But I also liked it because I got to experiment with a bunch of different things that I normally wouldn't try on like another band, like risky stuff. And a lot of it went really well. What sucked though is we put it out like right around the elections, and it was already a hard year because of COVID and just the hell that was 2020. I don't even it's crazy just to look back at any moment or any week in 2020. But so we put it out during that. So it just really it made things really difficult. Like Billboard changed a lot of their policies where like things that artists were doing to get like sales, like first off, like playing shows like at Venue. So you there's this app called At Venue where you can actually it charts your music as you're selling it on tour.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to sell it through a store for it to count as like a sound scan towards Billboard chart.
Well, let me ask you this. You're talking about selling music. Hasn't Spotify and all streaming, hasn't that kind of completely flipped that whole idea on its ear?
It sucks because it just changed. That's another thing I can get into. But it just it changed the entire game of how a release comes out. You almost have to think of how like a lot of rappers do, where it's just like a singles game. You're just constantly putting out content. Like me, I don't know. I'm about to be 29, but I'm used to I love just listening to full albums. I want to hear the artist's entire concept behind what they're writing. I want to see it's hard just to isolate one single and just be this is what we were going for in this time. But, so it takes away from that because you have to, in order to do well in Spotify and just the music industry now, you have to keep putting out a song almost every 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, just to keep going on it. And you'll even see some of the playlists, if you really follow them, new punk tracks, new metal tracks, they follow almost a 6 to 8 week cycle of bands.
Is that how long it is?
I'm not going to say all the time, but I've noticed on average, it's normally I'll even say sometimes 4 to 8 week cycle, because it all depends how much music's coming out. And going back to 2020, how hard it was for me to release stuff, everything changed. So now you have bands that were used to touring all the time that needed to pivot. So now they're just basically oversaturating everything with content. There's just releases after releases from just bands, and people learn that you don't need to be able to be with your band really to make music and produce music well. So you're just seeing lots and lots of creativity, which is just fucking awesome. But when you're on the music business side, you're oh shit, now I have to
a lot of pressure.
I got to get on top of this now and figure out how everything just changed. And then with the elections, it's changed.
Sucks all the oxygen out of the room. Everybody's attention is taken.
That, and it also, because you meant all the disinformation that was going around and stuff with all the ad budgetings for the elections and just all the just everything going on in 2020 and COVID and everything, and just I can't even, it keeps, there's so much, but it just made it where everybody really monitored their ads, and a lot of things got messed up. Facebook got messed up. People are you can't, posts are getting rejected for no reason. I tried running some YouTube ads for some of our videos, and they were getting taken down for disturbing content and recreational drug use and shit. It just, the elections and just the chaos of 2020 just destroyed all of social media and all the algorithms for marketing. So you almost had to completely adapt and just, we're getting lucky, but but going back to your question, it was really rewarding, and I felt great doing it. It did really well at the end of it, and I'm happy that I didn't fail.
Nah, man. I mean,
you guys hate me.
Now, when you guys recorded that, did you guys have to front all the money to go for the studio time and everything?
Yeah, that's something bands don't understand. If you want to do it right, it's so much money. Labels. Yeah, another thing bands don't understand is when labels give you money, that's called a recoupable expense.
Yeah, they're expecting to get that back.
A loan, you know what I mean? So that's coming out of your very small percentage of profit that you'd be getting from that label, from your own royalties, to pay that back. So we ended up, we didn't really have any huge labels looking at the metalcore band that we are anyway. But the same time, we had to buy everything ourselves. We went to Atrium Audio, with August, they record August Burns Red and Galactic Empire, Moss the Flames, metalcore gods in my opinion. But it's expensive, so all the PR, costs money. Like it was a huge buying all the merch, like just pressing vinyl is god awfully expensive, you know.
Is there still a big market for vinyl? Because I hear a lot of people talk about it, but I mean,
oh yeah, I mean, apparently, I mean, I haven't looked it up in a while, but like vinyl's been outselling digital and like CDs and everything the last couple of years. Like I guess there's a big insurgence for it coming back and just like the novelty of it. I'm a big vinyl collector myself. I love it. I like just taking some of my favorite albums and just kind of it's just cool like getting that big album artwork, and there's normally goodies inside of it, and like every like 10 to like 12 minutes or so you gotta like flip it over, and you just have to go up to it. Like with how easy music is like digestible now and Spotify and stuff, and like how easy it is for me to get to, it's just kind of cool going back and having like that.
Well, it's an experience,
yeah,
right?
It adds more to everything with it. I love vinyl, so that's something my band I've been pretty proud that we've been able to accomplish, is we just always press vinyl. So
I would compare it to like something like when you're watching a movie. Like nowadays, everybody's watching stuff at home, on demand or whatnot. And it's so easy to get caught up doing all this stuff. You're looking at your phone, you're getting up to go get some ice cream from the fridge. Oh, yeah. And I was explaining this to a guy I work with today. Like for me, a movie is an experience in the same way a lot of albums are meant to be an experience. It's the whole thing is one collective piece. Obviously there's individual songs, but when you start breaking it up and your attentions, you're distracted, it really kind of ruins the experience and you're not really getting the whole thing. I feel like our attention is spread so thin nowadays. So I'm not a vinyl guy myself, but I have to imagine that something like putting it on the player and everything, and like you said, flipping it every 10 to 12 minutes and like opening up the package. It's this big thing. It's not like a little button you press on the phone. Like it's a tangible object too.
That's awesome.
It's something about it. The whole thing adds to the experience, and I'm trying to see how many times I can say experience in a 2-minute span.
You gotta take a sip of your drink every time.
I know this is my punctuation.
Yeah, I hear that, man. Powered by the monks tonight.
Oh yeah.
On camera. This episode is brought to you by Merry Monks.
Shout out to Will H. Weyerbacher, baby.
Yeah,
I'm not a holy man, but I'll rock with these monks.
Yeah.
So we're already kind of bullshitting a little bit, but like, tell me a little bit about how you started in music. I know everybody's got like a story. Some people started early, late. Like, did you always want to be a drummer? Like, give me a little background.
I first started with the saxophone.
Okay.
I was like
I started with trumpet.
Nice, yeah. Like I don't know, like 5th grade or something like that. I always wanted to play the drums. My parents thought it was too loud, that typical thing. And yeah, it's terrible. I mean, I live in an apartment. It's rough. But yeah, so it started with that. Then I just like was in the band for a while. I was always like looking at the drummers and stuff, and I like just kind of had a knack. I'm always tapping on stuff, and like my grandparents saw that I liked this. So they ended up just kind of buying me a drum set, and then I just like took to that really well. And then my parents saw that it wasn't just like a phase or a stupid thing. Like it was actually like I was potentially good at this. I had like some like innate ability to some good gross motor skills.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then like they put me in drum lessons, and I started just kind of like learning rudiments and like jazz band and just like how to read music really well and stuff. And yeah, I was in drum lessons for a while. Then I was on the drum line all in like high school and like jazz band. I started my own band, started in 7th grade.
What was the name of it?
I think we were called Counterfeit Authority.
Okay.
Some like super edgy 7th grader name. And then I was in another band right after that called The Last Tempest, and when I was a freshman. And then we actually ended up doing really well. Like we were playing like my first show ever was at the Crocodile Rock in Allentown.
No shit.
Yeah, it was like on the main stage. We just super random. One of our moms just called and was like, "Hey, my son plays in a band. Can we get a show?" And like literally just like that, they're like, "Yeah, what are you doing tonight? Bring him down tonight." Got on, and then like from there we did really well. And we ended up just like playing like once or twice a month there. Then we played the silo a lot. Then because of us playing in the silo, our like guitarist mom was like pseudo managing us because a bunch of teenagers. And like, so then she ended up becoming with a booking agent at the silo, which then I would help her book shows and stuff. So kind of got me into the swing of doing all that. Then I was kind of got a little more mature and like towards like my like junior year and stuff. We kind of like the two high school bands joined forces and made like a super high school band, and like we had all the really good members, and we made this band called Dreamland Park.
What kind of music like were you mainly
it was
into?
like, dude, it was like I remember just like the Christian metalcore days. Like I'm not like religious at all, but my vocalist was, and I mean like that was the thing back then. Like For Today, As I Lay Dying.
Thank you, because I've had this conversation with some of my friends, like Christian metal, like that sounds like, you know,
dude,
that's like a gospel rapper who curses. You know,
it's crazy. You know, it's like, I mean, look at August Burns Red. Like, people don't think about it. They're a Christian band.
Oh,
like,
dude, I loved As I Lay Dying.
Yeah, I love them. I hate they're one of those bands where it's like hard. Some people give you like you still listen to As I Lay Dying.
Yeah.
They're fucking awesome. Like when I grew up, that's who I was like emulating my music from. You know, like I learned like Confined was one of the first like snare patterns I learned, just like the.
See, that was the first song I heard by them. I missed the whole first album, and then
dude, it's so good.
Yeah, but then after that, I was like, oh, okay, these guys, I like this. And then after that, I was sold.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even listen to them for the vocals, man. I was just all about, like, I used to actually I'd be like, get to my guitarist. I was like, yo, this next part in the song should be like an As I Lay Dying riff, just like the you know?
Yeah, they had a style.
Yeah, and I mean, it basically kind of formed what metalcore is today, you know? I mean, like, I would literally look at them as one of the forefronts of metalcore, and yeah. But yeah, anyway, so we were kind of like an As I Lay Dying sounding, like For Today. For Today was probably our biggest influence. And then, my vocalist got in a really bad car accident. We were actually about to get signed to Face Down Records at the time, which was like a Christian metalcore label. Which would have been sick. And like we had like these tour plans, and then my vocalist got in a really bad car accident, was in a coma for like a week.
Jesus.
And it just literally like he like reset. It was one of the most wild things I've ever seen. But he's doing totally fine now. But yeah, it was rough. But I mean, because of that, it like completely destroyed the band. He was like the main songwriter too. Then I went to college for a while and was just kind of like doing nothing. I wasn't in a band. I was just kind of like playing drums myself and getting my chops better with my hands and like rudiments and stuff. And then, I just randomly got a text one day to join Ascent Like Wolves, or like try out, and I just like I had to learn their whole album and the story goes in a week, and then we went out on tour for like this little tour.
It's stressful, right? Having to cram songs like that.
Yeah, I luckily it's like our and the story goes is kind of just like a straightforward like metalcore album, like Asking Alexandria and stuff. It's sick. It's like perfect for the time, but luckily I was just kind of like already doing that stuff a lot, so I was just able to pick it up really quick. I was like, okay, there's probably gonna be a breakdown after this part, you know, like all right, I'll just, as long as I know what groove to go in, you know, we'll be able to just wing it. But so yeah, I did really well with that. I ended up getting the gig, and then I kind of just made it my baby and just kind of like took it over with like just managing it and just like helping with the songwriting. Like our album Frigid Future, I wrote all the drums for that. Was another thing. Then like a month later, I had the track 13 songs.
Damn.
Like,
so how much? Like, what year was it? How long have you been in Ascent Like Wolves?
I've been in Ascent Like Wolves starting at, I think it was like November 2014 or October 2014.
Okay,
that's when I started there, and then then till to this day, I think they started in 2011 was when the band started. So we've been around for like a decade now, which is kind of
good run, better than most already.
Say out of my name here. But
so I mean, going back, I'm going to digress a little bit. Like you talked about how, you know, your grandparents bought you the drum set, and then your parents, once they saw that you were legitimately interested in it and you were actually doing it, like were they supportive of you initially? Because I've noticed a lot of people, you know, their parents just kind of look at them like, yeah, have fun, whatever. Even if they're really involved. Like when I first picked up bass, I was a bassist. Like my mom kind of was like, oh yeah, that's nice. Just you know, it's not her thing. Like we didn't have that in common. So
I hear that.
And I always felt like, you know, that was lacking. I had to do everything myself. But like with you, like was it different? Were they really supportive?
Honestly, I am like really blessed in that I have like really supportive and like just a great family. Like they've always had my back from whatever, and I've definitely disappointed them more times than they can think of, even with music. But so to like answer your question, yeah, they're insanely supportive. Are they supportive now? like going forward with it all. And just like, I mean, I've taken a lot of sacrifices trying to do this music stuff. Like, I mean, I have like a bachelor's degree, and I've like worked like, no knock on pizza delivery guys, but it's not something I'm trying to do my whole life. I was like a pizza delivery driver, like over and over again. I'd basically just like hop, like we'd go on tour. I'd like lose whatever job I had, then I'd have to go like scram to go find a new job. I've had so many jobs. But yeah, so I think just a lot of that, like I did like the worst thing you could do to like disappoint your parents. I was just like I mean, not that bad, but after college,
I can think of some pretty bad things.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, I'm gonna take that back. But like after college, I joined a metalcore band, with a lot of debt. So I was just kind of like, there was just like no logic behind anything. But I mean, it's a passion thing. If you're doing it, it's like very rare you find people doing art stuff for a logical reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, when like any kind of creative pursuit like that, whether you're a musician, an actor, a comedian, or anything like that, it's always like the common thing you hear is like you really got to dive in, head first. You can't dip a toe in. You got to go all in, because like, I mean, like, was there a backup plan? Because they always say if there's a backup plan, then all of a sudden you don't push as hard. You know what I mean?
Honestly, not really. I mean, the backup, I always, sounds cocky, but like just the kind of person where if I like have to do something, I'm gonna go find a job or something. Like I'm not gonna just like settle for not doing something. I'm just gonna keep trying until I get it. And I've always been able to get a job like immediately when I quit one or whatnot. But
white privilege. No.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, but like,
yeah, I'm fucking with you.
I mean, I'm one of those guys. I'm just gonna go and like go after it. But yeah, I guess the backup plan was I always wanted to do music. So I mean, I've like had like my booking company didn't do very well, so I would consider that like a lesson learned. I've had like multiple LLCs. I'm about to launch my own label right now, which I'm hoping that does well. I've like worked in I've just kept, I mean, I did like every kind of job you can have at a venue, just like trying to get jobs when I didn't have one and stuff. That's a great place for bands to work, is our venues or like sound gigs and stuff. So like,
yeah, you're in the scene all the time.
And I guess like kind of going back to just like college and stuff, I couldn't imagine going to school for music and not actually getting like you said, your feet wet and stuff with all this stuff. Like there's no way you'd be able to just get out of college and just get like a crazy music job.
But
like,
now,
I mean, sure, there's possibilities, but like you don't have any of the connections or anything.
Yeah.
It's all based around that. You have like none of the real life experience of dealing with like a crazy band, or like.
Yeah. Well, that's so much of it is the hands-on experience. It's not the stuff you could learn anywhere else. You only learn it by doing. So when you joined A Scent Like Wolves, and you said right away you started touring.
Yeah, pretty much with them. Like we did, like they weren't like gigantic runs. I mean, they were just kind of like but it was consistent. It was always consistent. So like it would be like every couple weeks we'd be out doing like a small run or something, like a week or two, or like weekenders. I love doing weekenders. Like you hear like elitist band people are like, oh, weekenders, not a tour and stuff. Like fuck you, man. Like I'm trying to do this stuff while like making a living. Like not all of us can have like. We need to make money in order to do this stuff. So like, I'm not trying to quit my job. I'm trying to just like do a bunch of runs and grow my band. You can lump 2 weekend runs and cover a pretty large area,
Yeah. That was always the hardest thing for me, because I had started working in my job. I'm an electrician. I'm in the union, and like I had joined the union right before I joined a band. So like my job has always been there before the music, which sucked.
Yeah.
And it's a good job. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it like identifies who I am. It's not me. It's a career though, and it's a good job. It pays the bills. It affords me a studio here. But at the same time, like it was always tough, because it was playing shows on weeknights. It was like, I gotta wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, to go pull 500 wire. And fucking, I'm here at this show with 3 people. Like, this is stupid. But it's like, these are the punches you got to roll with.
It's like a drug, though, man. Like, you crave it. Like, I don't know. That's like my skill. Like, it was really hard in 2020, just kind of like pivoting and just being like trying to find something new to like get that like release out, that escape from just like work and shit. I mean, I don't know. I know all about those shows where you literally like drive like 4 hours or something to play to like 7 people, and 6 of them are in the band before you. The other 2 bands left.
Yep. Done that. I could think of a few.
You got to find experience. I just am somebody that I always try to find experience or like a takeaway from something, even if it's just like connecting with that band that day. You know, like it's what bands don't understand. If you want to do it, you got to talk more. You got to like the other bands are your allies. They're the ones
networking.
That have a connection. Yeah, it's all about networking and like so I always look at, no matter what show I play, as long as there's like another band there, something I can talk to, or like a connection I can get, or something. It like
you meet a ton of cool people.
I love it, dude.
I would argue that more of the people are cool than are douchebags. You know,
100%. I mean, you're into like a weird subgroup of the population. You know, I mean, it's all people that have like common interests and whatnot. It's great, dude. I also just love the characters you meet. It's always like 1 to like 5 people at a show that are just like the most out there people you've ever met, and I live that shit.
Oh yeah, there's always like a few people that you see like like a rotating door of a revolving door of faces that you see the same like kind of weird people, and you don't want to just straight up call them like, this fucking guy is like a little soft in the head, but at the same time they make, like you said, they make the whole thing interesting. It's like, oh, creepy kid's here.
Or just like, I don't know, just playing dive bars and stuff. You always get that one person that'll just like talk your ear off at a bar and just tell you some of the craziest stories you've ever heard before.
Especially if you have visible tattoos, they all want to come up and talk to you about your tattoos and their tattoos. And they want to show you their tattoos in weird places.
Or just, I don't know, man. Just you always meet like an example. I mean, we played this one show in Dothan, Alabama. Dalvin, I don't know. I might be pronouncing it wrong, so I'm an ass. But
I don't know if I have any listeners in Alabama, so if it's wrong, it's okay.
We'll be good. But yeah, so we get down there. It's like in the middle of nowhere. It's like a warehouse. We thought we were in the wrong spot. Like, then eventually this guy comes down. His name's Bullfrog. By the end of the night, we found out it became like this hardcore prom. Kids were just showing up in like prom dresses and suits and stuff, and like, dude, by the end of the night, it got so sloppy. Bullfrog ended up paying me that night because I was tour managing as well, and for the bands, and he ended up paying me with just a tuxedo shirt on, no pants whatsoever, like it's just dick out and everything, and
no undies either. Wow.
Yeah, just letting it out. Just in a whole handle of whiskey, just eye to eye, talking to me like nothing was happening.
Oh no, you can't break eye contact in that situation.
I couldn't, man. I was just like I loved it. It was such. I live for shows like that, you know. And it was packed. It was just a great time, and I mean, it was just a weird, sloppy Alabama show. And Bullfrog, if you're listening, I appreciate you.
we love you, sir.
Yeah.
So while you were out there on tour, like, what were some of the challenges? Because I feel like the idea of being a touring band is kind of like over glamorized in pop culture. Yeah. Like me and a few of the guys have talked about this on the show, and like my touring experience is nothing compared to, I'm sure, what yours is. But it's like, it is not glamorous. Like,
no, dude.
If anything, you're basically living in squalor. It's just you're mobile in the process. Yeah,
you just are kind of like living in a van with a bunch of
down by the river.
Really, yeah, basically. Motivational speaker.
Hey, Dad, I can't see too well. Is that Bill Shakespeare over there?
Dude, Chris Farley, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's like we would just go from like Walmart parking lot to Walmart parking lot, and we'd always take like $20 out of our guarantee, which if we ever got one, a lot of bands don't make any money really, like at all. Oh, shit, sorry about that. And then going crazy.
I can forgive the first one, not the second one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, we would like take $20 out of whatever money we had, if it was in our own money, and maybe buy like a bunch of McChickens or something from McDonald's, and that would be like our
Oh my God!
You know, he's killing me right now. I hate when people.
I'm sorry,
they just give me one long message, you know, and it's over. They said everything they want to say.
Me and my wife made me not do that anymore. I used to be the one long message guy. And it's actually perfect because I got to make a new drink. But I used to be the one long message, and then something happened. She infected me, and now I send like 3 in a row.
like a thought, like right there was 4 different messages that were all like five words long. That could have just been like a paragraph.
Yeah. Like, do me a favor, Mom. Think about what you want to say, and then send it.
I'm on a podcast, Mom. It's my metalcore band.
Guy's got swords. Do you want me messing around? Come on. Anyway, but yeah, like being in, did you guys have a van or like a trailer? How was your setup?
We had one for a little bit. Then that like it dies because you're young and you buy stupid shit and it breaks because that's what happens. And you don't keep up with it because you're in a band.
And you literally can't afford to.
Yeah, pretty much. And you're just a bunch of like forgetful dudes. But anyway, so like we would a lot of times just rent a van, which would make us literally never make any money back by the time we rented the van. But
we did that with trailers too.
Yeah, we never rented a trailer. We would just like I'm 5'5", and like a couple like 2 other guys were like around that height, and then we don't really have any huge people in my band, so we would just like sleep under on the floor and stuff. Like one person would get oh my god, the one time we toured Canada and I made this like makeshift like bunk in the back of our van, and keep in mind all of our gear is still in the back of the van too. So it was like on top of all the gear, so there was like maybe this much room for me to like lay in. So I was like basically touching the ceiling, and it was just I realized how hard it was to just sleep on a plank of wood.
Yeah, not
realized not how like I was just like, I'll put like some carpeting down. It won't be that bad. No, it's terrible. Then I'd wake up in the middle of the night or like in the morning when the sun would come out, just do a bunch of just stale like fart air and like just hell. I would literally wake up and just be like, I need to leave, and I would just like make it somebody's problem until I got out of that van.
Now I saw a picture online. You guys are a 7-piece band. Am I seeing that right?
Yeah, to play all of our parts properly, we're a 7-piece band. Because we have 2 standing vocalists.
Okay, but now did you have 7 people like touring all at once?
We've never had 7 people fully touring. As you know, it's just hard to be in a metalcore band as you get older, and the stresses of life come.
Cody, let me say this: it's hard to be in a band. Period.
Oh yeah, for sure, and just do anything. But the older you get, the worse it gets. So it's really hard to find somebody who. It's like finding a legendary Pokemon, like you got to find someone who's like financially stable, can play the part, has gear, has transportation, isn't a dick, like can get off time for work. It's like impossible.
It's tough, but not only that. And again, now this is something that we've talked about before on the show, but like just managing different personalities, that in itself is like, it's like moving mountains sometimes.
Yeah. I always say I'm like a Mormon husband with like 5 really high maintenance wives.
Oh, you can't sleep with them.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, you can. It's 2021,
I don't want to sleep with any of the dudes in my band.
All right, just saying, you got options. That's all.
Yeah.
So, what were some parts of like the touring and all like that whole lifestyle that really that you struggled with, even so that was a challenge to you? What was the hardest part?
Probably for me, like struggling, I mean, I guess just probably like keeping morale up with my team.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, like, I don't know, I would always be like, I guess the quote unquote band dad. Like I would book the tours, like manage them when we were on there, and just like deal with all the promoters and stuff, and just I don't know, like, so I'd book the shit. It's like talking about like releasing an album too. Like I would book the shows, and like, as you know, some of them do terribly, where we drive like 4 hours to play to 3 people and get like a donation jar of money from 4 people. And so then like those shows were especially defeating because my dudes, like, I know they're just as poor as I was, if not poorer, in bad spots in their life, just kind of like sitting there just like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I mean, we all have that. And it's, I don't know, it just, when you're in a group and you're living with those dudes in like a small area all the time, like your emotions feed back and forth off each other, like for so sure. Easily. You're just constantly just vibing off of each other's good and more than not negative emotions, so it's just really hard to keep everybody like motivated and just like stoked on the experience.
Yeah, well, the morale thing, You really, I think you're onto something there, because that, like for us, like I always talked about, my first band broke up. It was because of a battle of the bands. You know, like we had really honestly like felt like we had won, and like, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that think they deserve to win at everything, but like
Sure.
we did everything that they asked us for, and we brought a shit ton of people. Like, you know, we sold tickets. Like, all right, what more do you want from us? And it's like, you know, there was a little political thing going on that it left a bad taste in our mouth, and it's hard to keep everybody's morale up, you know. And I wouldn't say that I was the band dad role, but at the same time, it's like, even if I was, like, you know, what can you do?
Dude, just even that, like, you touched on some good stuff too. Like, even outside of touring, just like, especially with like how social media is, I'm sure you could apply this to anything, but just like seeing everybody just gloat their successes. You rarely ever see anybody on Facebook ever say anything negative they're doing, even if they are having the worst moment in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
They can make a post saying like something completely different, and that just like paints a picture, but it's a false picture. So you always see all these bands just like big things coming soon, and really they're about to just like,
yeah, I watched a bird shit off the van.
they're gonna release like a cover picture of like a new song that's coming out months from now, or like something stupid, you know, or like, I don't know, but or you genuinely see bands that are just randomly out of nowhere. You have no idea how they did it, just like right place, right time, and crushed it. So you're always just seeing like constant success, but even if it's not even real
you're
success,
seeing everybody's highlight reel, and only the highlights.
You know, it's a great way to put it. And then, but what's bad about it too is it's a fake highlight reel a lot of the time. So it just paints this, you're just constantly just trying to like, it's almost like a drug, just get like new attention and stuff. And when you're not doing stuff, I found that it often puts my band in ruts. Like even like now, I'll say, like we released an album in February. Like it's just like hard keeping. I don't know. It's just like hard keeping the momentum up, you know, like this, like the passion going. It's just like, oh, we did this now. Well, before you know it, like 6 months will go by and like nothing new will come out. You know, it's just like, but at the same time, it'll just be like, damn, this person's doing this, or this band got this, or why aren't we doing this now and stuff. And then like before you know it, you're just like depressed about it. So you're pushing it off more and more, and then you're not enjoying the thing that you're doing anymore. And then before you know it, like months go by and you're just like, wow, why are we back at like 10,000 monthly listeners on Spotify when we were just at like 50,000, you know, like what the hell happened?
Well, that's the problem with dealing with the public. It's always, what have you done for me lately? You know,
you have
what's
to
the newest thing
up with people, and like people fucking forget about you, man. Especially in like the music industry and entertainment industry, you just constantly have to try to be in that spotlight, whether it's real or not. You know, it's just like, I kind of hate it sometimes. There's times where I just look at my phone and I'm just like, I'm tired of all of you. Like, I won't even like listen to like music sometimes for a while. Or I'll like listen to like just lo-fi music or something. Like I'll put like rap on or something.
Well, I mean, I listen. I absolutely feel it, because it's. I mean, it's similar with the podcast game. You know, it's especially like music and podcasting. They're flooded markets. You know, no matter what you're doing.
Especially 2020, I bet too. With like, I'm sure a lot of podcasts came up and about from that.
Bro. Don't even get me started, because it's. I was reading this thing. They're saying that like there's some crazy million number of podcasts out there, and only like 30% of them are still active, which is crazy. And then out of that 80% of those are true crime podcasts. So you hear these numbers, I'm like, well, it shouldn't be that hard to break through, but you forget like how many people are out there making content, especially like you said, in 2020, everybody's home, they have free time, and it's easier than ever to actually produce the content. It doesn't require, a crazy setup. Most people, I've seen people doing them out of their closets. My friend Retro does his in his closet with his, his wall of sneakers behind him. And you know what? It actually looks pretty fucking cool. I'm like, God damn it. I have this whole thing here. That's all I needed. But it's tough. And it, like with the social media thing, you're always seeing other people. You're always seeing their success. You're seeing them making moves and everything. But like they're doing the same shit you are, like the same uninteresting things you are, not on social media. But you're only seeing the good stuff from them, and you're seeing all the negative things that you have to deal with. So it makes you feel like, well, I must really be fucking up, And that's the problem with social media in general. Isn't there a saying, a comparison is the death of happiness? Like, did I make that up, or is that? I just heard
that. That's a really cool saying, because I agree with you. But like, I mean, that's like humans' innate ability is to compare ourselves to others and judge others. Like, think about like every time you look at someone, you're like, it doesn't have to be mean, but you're judging them in some sense, you know, you're like evaluating them, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. That's like our downfall as humans, I guess.
Well, it's like, I don't know. You're right. It is human nature, but you would think that now, like, there's so much information out there. There's so much research, and it's all at the tip of our fingertips. You would think that maybe some of us would be more self-aware of some of this stuff, but it's something like that instinct that it's hard to really overcome that. You know?
We live in a society now, though, where once you do become self-aware and it bothers you, you just immediately look at your phone again and forget that you were bothered by being self-aware, you know?
Yeah. No, but I mean, you were saying before that sometimes you feel like just like, I don't want to deal with this today. It feels like a rat race, you know, sometimes, right?
We actually have a song called Rat Race about all of this. Random plug for Scent Like Wolves, but yeah.
There you go. Look it up. It's on Spotify, guys.
It is.
So I want to go back and touch on something real quick. You went to college. You have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And that's in clinical psychology?
Yes.
So now you've been touring since graduating, right? Since studying all this stuff?
I actually started while I was still in school. It was really awful because it made me do really bad in school for attendance grades and shit, which, college sucks. But
well, the reason I bring that up is, you know, with bands, like we were talking about managing relationships and managing different personalities within the band, you know.
Yeah.
Were there any kind of like tricks or little hacks that you picked up from your studies that helped in dealing with those relationships on the road, or just in general?
Like ultimately, just for one, when you go to school for psychology, you're basically like spending 4 to 5 years learning about yourself and like applying all those concepts to yourself and like being crazy from them and trying to understand that. But with that comes like a lot of patience and just like knowing what you want for like the most part. And like I always just kind of knew like I said, just like managing each other's vibes. Like I was like the most difficult thing to deal with being in a band is like not getting discouraged by each other being discouraged in their own lives and venting that out and projecting it towards the band as a whole, you know? So like I guess with me, I would just always kind of know, like I was kind of conscientious to the fact like, hey, like you're feeling like shit right now. Like this all seems hopeless, but like everybody feels like that when you're doing this stuff. Like, and I was just kind of like always like able to give myself pep talks to kind of just be like, look, you failed again, or like the show didn't do this well, or like as a booking agent and stuff. Like, I mean, going into more business stuff, but like, yeah, you just lost like a couple $100 right now, you know, like you already don't have a lot of money to pay rent and stuff, but here you go. Like you're just gambling on metalcore shit. But at the same time, it's just like, well, you're never going to learn and grow if you don't keep doing it and pursuing it. So I guess it's just kind of like just understanding that life's a duality. In order to succeed, you have to do really bad and crash and burn a lot of times and just gain perspective from that. And then just I guess ultimately like psychology kind of just gave me just the patience to just deal with all, like just not quit on my band. Or just like kind of keep everybody together and just kind of like almost be like a band therapist, as like lame as that is, but like, no, but that more so a friend. I think it just like made me just be like, hey, we're a family. Like yeah, you're gonna freak out on me right now, but you're not freaking out on me. Yeah, this doesn't have to do with me. So like I could with bands, I think it's so easy. Like it's such a passionate thing, and like you're dealing with like some really poor people, and just like they're dealing with a bunch of other stuff in their lives. Where I think a lot of misperceptions form. Like I think like life's all about, you've heard it before, life's all about perceptions, you know. I think a lot of times like a lot of communication doesn't get said, and people they fill in the blanks with their own interpretations. That happens a lot with bands. So you see a lot of fights.
Hang on, go back. Say that again. You said people don't know, the communication's not always there, so people fill in the blanks with their own perceptions. Interpretation. That's
yeah.
I've not. I think I just never heard it, you know, said that clearly, and that's really really true. Wow, that's
Merry Monks.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think that's like one of the biggest things in life, and I mean, especially with like trying to form a business, you have to just understand that like, for whatever reason, this guy is mad at you right now, but you don't know why it is. So you can either make a choice. Should I just be pissed that this guy's pissed at me and I just like thinks this way of me? Or do you want to talk it out with him and try to figure out like what do you think? What do you think that made you so mad that I did right now? You know, like basically like just like dive deeper into the issue, because a lot of the times you're both going to find that you're not really mad at each other for something concrete. You know, you're just like I said, filling in the blanks with your like just your own interpretations of an event that happened or something. You know, and
absolutely.
Like, a lot of that with is being in a band is just being able to keep each other together and like, I don't know, just like be a friend, you know, just like.
I would argue that that's the hardest part of being in a band is the, you know, the personal stuff, is the relationship stuff. Making music, I mean, compared to that is
that's
easy.
Fun. I mean, that's where a lot of bands end up failing. They like
absolutely
make a lot of sick songs. Then when they start to like try to be like, all right, let's try to make money from this and like do it, they just are like, wow, I don't enjoy this anymore. And you have to just be able to be like, you have to be able to find what you enjoy again. Like you got to treat it like another business or something, you know, when you can do. A lot of times you'll find the band has like one or two members that do like 90% of the work.
Yeah, that's really true.
But then there's 90% or those two people that do all the work, one or two people, they have to be aware that without the other members, their dreams nothing, because they will never be able to complete it, because you need those other, like I can't fucking play guitar, I can never get a song written. You want to hear a bunch of chugs and stuff and crazy rhythms, like maybe, but I can only go so far.
You could just be the Eagles and just like, all right, fuck you, you're fired.
I'm just gonna backtrack everybody.
Fuck this band, I'm gonna go star in Miami Vice. But no, I just in my experience, that was always the hardest part. You know, the music, like the playing shows, even the touring, as much of as like a grueling kind of grind as that can be, it's still fun. You know, playing a show, being on stage, I could be ready to fucking fist fight with one of the members 10 minutes before we go on stage. Next thing you know, we're on there, we're looking at each other with the crap. All of a sudden, you forget about it.
Dude, it's funny you say that. Like every day, like there's always it's like a high and low constantly. Like every day there would be like I'd hate somebody or there'd be like a huge conflict in our band or something. Then like we'd play the show. Sorry, everybody would start drinking and like smoking a little and stuff, and before you know it, everybody's like loves each other. We're all having the best ever. And then like what was, looking back at it, a terrible day ends up being like an incredible memory that you have then, you know.
Well, the thing that always sucked the most to me about a band is kind of what you were saying before. Like even if you have like one or two members that do 90% of the work, sometimes like when you realize you're still kind of at the mercy of the other members. Is that if my drummer decided to quit today, like we would effectively all be fucked. You know, even if he's not really pulling his share of the weight, he's still got the ability to throw a monkey wrench in this whole thing.
Yeah,
and that to me always drove me nuts. You know.
I hate it. Or, I mean, you look at a lot of stuff where you have like a fill-in member who's like getting all of the credit for doing all of the work of the band that the person who did all the work's getting like the same amount of credit, you know, where like, it's just another thing where you have to be like mature enough to just be like, look, like let this guy gloat all he wants about the successes of our band that like I did, you know, but like I need him to talk about it, you know? So like, I need him happy and enjoying it. And at the end of the day, like he earned a spot in here. He can play these parts, you know, he's a musician, you know, but so you almost just have to be able to turn the switch from just like business to fun, and it's always hard sometimes. Like I made the mistake. I don't ever want to tour manage and play a tour again, like my own tour. I booked a tour for Varsity, the Northern, and my band. In 2015 before everything shut down. Which Varsity and the Northern are awesome bands. I don't know if you ever checked any of them out, but
I've heard like one or two songs while I was looking at your stuff because you know.
Yeah. Varsity is pretty. They're really killing it now. But yeah. Anyway, just it was so much fun, but like just it's hard to just like when things are getting like out of hand and stuff, and you're the guy that has to go talk to the promoter at the end of the night, and like you got band members that you're really good friends with, like drunkenly like climbing on tables and stuff while they're playing, and like jumping on the bar and just like doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Like you're the one that has to deal with that. Or like I don't know. Don't pay.
It sucks being the responsible one.
Yeah, because then you got to be like, yo, man, like I know, like I would love to be drunk on this table with you right now, but like, look, I want us to get paid, so I don't have to pay out of pocket your guarantee for you being a drunken asshole on this table right now. Like there's 7 people in front of, and there's 7 people in this venue, man.
And sometimes it's like, if I don't do it, you motherfuckers definitely ain't gonna do it. You know?
It's just, I don't know. So
that's a bad feeling.
Yeah, I don't. I just, and it's also just like stressful. Just like you just feel that when you then if you book the, like I booked the tour too, so I was just kind of like, if a show did bad, I was just like, great, everybody is just like looking at me like the asshole that made them drive out here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
especially if it's like a weekend thing where you have like 2 or 3 shows lined up and they're all turning out to be kind of duds.
Dude, I've already booked like weekenders for bands, and that's like exact situation happened where like all the locals drop or something too, or like just something terrible, and they like message me just all pissed off, and I'm just kind of like, have you ever played in that state before?
Yeah.
Well, you got a show in that state, man. Like, did you talk to the promoter? Maybe you can go out there again. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm sorry, but nobody's listening to you here. So
Yeah, be better. I don't know what to say, you know.
That's another thing I always find myself like balancing out with my band is like, cause I work in like, I have like the business background behind it. I'm always just kind of like that guy that's like, yeah, we think we're up here, but really, guys, like we're like here in the grand scheme of things. We have to understand that we don't deserve this yet. You know,
you're the realist.
Like, you have to be, but like it's really hard to just be like, because then I don't know, your guys will just be like, well, why are you talking shit on us? And I'm like, I'm not, but it's smart to go into things with like expectations, like realistic expectations.
I'm not trying to be a downer, but don't, you know,
I'm not trying
walk
to be
in here like a fucking swinging dick thinking you own the place.
Yeah, I mean, you're just, well, then you're just always going to set yourself up to be sad. You know, you always be trying to like grasp at something that you'll never be able to get, and like you just constantly set yourself up for failure, where like just know where you are and build yourself up from that. And I'd rather be surprised than like real sad.
Absolutely. You drive yourself crazy if you walk around thinking like, oh, you were always slighted, if you didn't get what you think you deserved because you thought you deserved the sun and the moon. It's like, well, you're gonna live your life disappointed and bitter then. Like, that's no way to approach it. I'm not saying to be, pessimistic and just, be self-deprecating and think you're a piece of shit. But at the same time, like you said, be realistic. You can't just walk in like, king shit everywhere you go. Like, nobody knows you here, bro. We're in Maine. You don't know anybody here. They don't know you.
No one likes king shit.
No. No. He belongs in a toilet bowl.
You just can't be a dick. It's probably the biggest thing I learned in life is just don't be a dick, and you'll be able to just get around.
This is exactly the kind of thing that me and Matt had spoken about when he was on the show, and that kind of thing, especially when you have like a crazy egomaniac in the band, like that can be one of the most maddening things in the world.
I've definitely, luckily my band's like super humble, cool dudes. So like I've never had an ego problem with them.
Lucky.
But, like, I've definitely played with bands where I'm just like, come on, dude. Starting out, other drummers be like, hey, I'd be like, hey man, like you like a really good drummer. I really enjoyed watching you play. And they'll be like, hey man, well I'm offering drum lessons if you like ever want some drum lessons. And I'll just be like, dude, like, come on. I just was trying to like make a conversation with you, and you're just gonna like condescend me like that.
Yeah,
like,
you're trying to sun me over here. Like I was giving you a compliment.
Bro, like, get out of here. But lots of that stuff are just like, as a promoter, my God, would I see it a lot, dude. Like just attitudes from bands. Cause like it's one thing to come at another band, but like promoters, that is a thankless fucking job being a show promoter. Like, there's definitely some greasy, awful people that give the whole business a bad name. But I tell you what, man, like the DIY promoters, like giving like small emerging bands and stuff a chance, like that, those are the people that have a thankless job.
Well, people don't realize like the show is even existing right now because of what these guys are doing. They're doing the legwork of putting the show on.
But everybody hates you as a promoter the day of the show. Everybody like is up your ass all the time when you have the shows, and then like they just like will treat you like shit day of show, like the stupidest stuff. Like every show I would always have at least a member or like a whole band or two just like pissed about something genuinely completely out of my show's control. Just like making it my problem.
See, listen, I understand you're upset, but I did not physically go up into the ceiling rafters and make that pipe burst. It is not my fault. We're dealing with it as best we can, and I would ask for your patience. Thank you, and have a lovely evening. Which sounds an awful lot like go fuck yourself.
It's tactfully saying go fuck yourself in really nice ways. But show promoters are I've dealt with some pretty awful egos.
So since we're talking about crazy egos, let me ask you this. There's always a stereotypical thing, like, like every member of the band, there's like the stereotypical role. The singer's always a diva, the drummer's always kind of like a little spazzy, a little weird. The bass player, in my experience, usually has a chip on his shoulder. The guitar players are also divas. Have you found like all those things, any of those things to be true? Like, what have you noticed? Anything maybe that a lot of people don't realize?
I don't know. I think band people are just interested. I don't know. They're just artists, so they're all over the place, man. I don't know.
I've always noticed that the drummers are always, and no offense, but at least in the bands I've been in, like drummers are always slightly off. Like smart guys, super talented, but there's something's weird,
Yeah, I'm very awkward too. I understand. But I definitely see. I mean, I will tell you, like loading in, the reason I think the drummers get that is because the drummer has to load in like
you get the hardest
20 fucking pieces of gear and shit, then set it all up, take it down. They normally have to run all the backing tracks too if they have like equipment like that. So like me, I used for the most part, I was always in charge of like getting our backtrack situated while setting my whole drum up, and I'll have like.
No, that's 100% your responsibility.
Yeah, my two vocalists come up to me like with like mic problems or something, or like ask me a question or something while I'm setting my shit up, and I'm just like, get out of here.
Now, with your bandmates, did any of them also like know anything about the drums? Did they help you with the setup at all? Because we always like in my last band, we tried to like learn my drummer's setup, so I'm like, all right, we can help you because sometimes we don't have a ton of time to load in,
Yeah, I would. I don't know. I'm kind of like an ass with setting my drum up. Just I don't know. I'm very particular with how it comes. I'm really short too, so I just have to like set it up properly. Or
Cody, you all are very particular. I have to say,
100%. But anyway, I would never like teach them how to set it up per se, but I would always just be like, look, man, here's how we're gonna make this changeover happen. I'm gonna stage all my stuff over here. I'm gonna need you to bring all my stuff over here, like out of the like cases and stuff, and just like give it to me, and I'll set it up while you're giving it to me. I'll get the backtrack situated, and then.
Well, that was what we always try to do. Like we would, like me and the guitarist, we would just set up our our rigs and everything, and it would take all of 5 minutes once everything's in the building. So then we're like, all right, let's help the drummer. All right, you ready? All right, you ready for the snare? Here you go. Here we go. All right, blah, blah, blah. We just hand him stuff and just be essentially gophers to help streamline the process. Because the last band that I was in was a cover band, so sometimes you didn't have like an hour before the show started to load in. Sometimes like you got there and it's like, all right, you guys are on in like 20, and as soon as this first band is out, you're up. Like, Jesus Christ, guy, can you work with us a little bit here? So we had to get really good at doing it fast.
Yeah, I mean, you can honestly just tell how experienced bands are too by how fast they load on and load off a stage. Like you can always tell that local band that like is literally like taking their drums out of the case while like on stage loading in. Like I even normally like a lot of times like we'll work it out with the band that's before us or like after us on how they want to change over. Because a lot of time I'm just used to it from like the show promoter perspective and like a stage manager where I'm like, look, we got like 10 minutes to get this band off and this band on. Well, that's like no amount of time. So and then it cuts into the set time of that band, So
yeah, absolutely
like, fucks everything up. So
and there's always a guy looking for his pedal tuner. He doesn't know where he put it.
There's always something. You always just got like as a stage manager, you just gotta be like, look, what's going on, buddy? What do you need? All right, get out. Just go do it. I'll find you something. Just go do what you gotta do. Get it.
So. Speaking about promoting and stuff, like how did you make the decision to go into that side of the business?
I think it was just because I got like, I don't know, I was just like, I never want like going back to like your one question about having a B plan. Like I never really wanted to have a B plan. Like while I was in college, I realized I didn't like what I was going to school for the most part. Like I had an internship. I just saw psychology for what it is. And I could rant about that in a whole other podcast, but I don't want to do psychology anymore. In that regard. So I was just like, you know what? I'm already in college this far. Like I just got to do it now. Like, I mean, it's just useless if I don't. And so then I was like, you know what? I want to do music. So I got to find a way to make money while I'm like on the road and stuff and just do it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go. I used to book shows when I was younger at the Silo when I was a teenager. And I was like, you know what? Like just the whole like organizational part of a show just made sense to me. And just from touring, I just like understood stage managing and stuff and just all just made sense on how to do it. And then I had a couple connections just from being a band. So I was like, I'm going to get my foot in the door at these venues. And I started just booking at like my company's called Recovery Promotions, so I started booking like fire holes and like churches and stuff, like really
VFWs,
cheap,
that kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of stuff before until I had like the capital to like rent out on like a nice venue like Reverb or something. Or
now, how did you come up with? Where's the name Recovery come from?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, like I was kind of sick of seeing how the scene, like the local scene was in our area, where it was basically just run by a bunch of like promoters that would just do like pay to play shows and like ticket selling shows where they'll have like a tour package of maybe 4 like mid-tier bands, and they'll make it like a festival of like 6 local bands and the 4 touring bands. Then those local bands will have to sell like 20 to 100 tickets, and their spot gets put, it's like a hierarchy of who sells the most tickets. And
yep, been to those ones.
Fucking ruthless, man. And I just was like, I was just, that's all I saw around my area. So I was like, I'm like gonna call it Recovery and just kind of recover, like building the DIY scene back up like I used to. And
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
All the other like local promoters and stuff like that, how many of them were people that had been in bands and like been on the other side of that? Because I've always noticed it was always just random fucking dudes.
Well, there's 2 like categories, I mean, there's the people that are just in it to make a lot of money, which you'll see like, yeah, you can make a lot of money, and like that those people are fortunately necessary because they have the capital to bring the giant bands into the venues, to your town, but because it's very expensive, they win the bids to get those bands to come in. But at the same time, then you have the other layer of it, which is like the lower tier touring bands and like local bands. And that's what we're always like, people in bands, because they're doing what I was doing, where like, yeah, you might lose money on the show, but you just booked like 3 up and coming touring bands, talk to them, network with them, get your connections from them. All of my tour, my company ended up becoming a tour booking agency then too, for like mid-tier bands. And a lot of my connections were based upon talking to these bands from other areas of the country and just networking. Like, hey, next time you guys need a show, come like just hit me up and I'll get you a show here, give you $100, like a pizza. Could you do the same for me when my band comes to like South Carolina or something,
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're like show swapping. So then my company tried to pivot, where I was like, what if I can get like a like-minded person like me to do this in like every state, It was too crazy of an idea. I learned something too fast. But I had I had like 4 or 5, I had 4 states going pretty solid, like California, Alabama.
Hey, California's a big state too.
Yeah, we were booking like we booked the show at Chain Reaction too. It was pretty sick. Like from Pennsylvania, I did. It's pretty cool. But it ended up just being too much to manage. And what I learned is you can't manage the chaos that goes on a show at that broad a scale from that far away. Yeah. And I didn't have the capital to deal with any liability insurance and stuff, and that I would need for something that big. So I toned it down a little bit and just focused on Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is cool because you could book a tour package in like 3 different areas and have it be like an hour and a half to like 3 hours away, which is like a good tour route for like a weekender or something,
Yeah.
So I would book weekenders for bands in like Pennsylvania, and I had like at one point 5 people working for me just in Pennsylvania that were all, well, not working for me, like I'd say partnered with me. We were like a coalition of like-minded DIY promoters that were like, we wouldn't book over, like we would have like a spreadsheet where we'd see all the shows that were coming in and stuff. So we like would never like book over each other. Because another thing you'll find is good intended, a lot of DIY promoters are, they're just, I do it myself too. Like I'm a hypocrite. I'll like get a tour package come and be like, damn, I got a book this year. But little do I know, like my buddy has like a show like an hour away, or like my other buddy has a show like 45 minutes away. And then I just like took half their draw,
Yeah.
So it's all, I tried to do something where we all like stayed connected and like didn't book over each other, but we're able to like broad out the whole state. But I mean, it didn't really end up working too well. It was just like, it was hard just to keep everybody together. There wasn't like money coming into it. I didn't have money to invest in it because I did all this as a touring band right out of college.
Now, did you started your own label, if I'm correct, right?
I'm doing that. I will be announcing that in the beginning of June.
I didn't say anything. We can cut that out if you want.
No, it's okay. You can air this after June if you want. I'll talk about it, but
I'll cut it out. I need, right. Like I said, the baby came early. I need content to put out.
Content. I hear you. But you just cut it out. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I have a label coming out. But I did work for I was a label director for CI Records for a year and a half. I ran the Champ in Harrisburg too with CI Records and CI Productions. Then I'm currently even with the segue into my label, I'm an A&R for the record label Weird Triumphant. And my label is actually going to be an imprint of Weird Triumphant.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move away from that because we're going to cut that out. I don't want to blow the surprise.
Yeah, I hear it.
The last thing I'm going to ask you, before we get out of here tonight, being on the other side, like on the promoting side, especially, you always hear, like you mentioned this before, like there's a lot of like greasy fucking sneaky guys, and they're out there. Essentially, they're out. I mean, everybody's out for themselves to a certain extent, but there's guys that pull a lot of scumbag moves. Like seeing it from the other side, as from being a band member and a musician, is it really as bad as people would believe or have you believe it is? Like, how common is it? Like
honestly, man, it's pretty prevalent. Like,
really,
you have to be really I mean, it's like I told you, man, there's like two tiers of like promoters, man. There's like the people in bands like myself and just the guys that just like genuinely love music that are trying to book stuff. But at the end of the day, they're not going to make the money because they're not trying to make a career out of it. But I learned if you really want to make a career in music, it's very rare that you're going to find someone who hasn't had to do something a little greasy to a band. And and you know what, man, I don't even think I've like thought about this a lot. Like there's like a spectrum, there's definitely like just fucking snakes out there too. Like I preach about all those, but I think it's a gradual, like kind of like desensitization kind of thing to like being greasy in the music industry. Like I don't think it starts out that way. Like it's not always an ill intent, but eventually at the end of the day, when you're trying to make a business out of something, you need money. So money is always going to be the driving factor of most things and a lot of decisions, So I think with that being said, and then going back to being like the gradual desensitization kind of thing, before you know it, this guy that started out as like the great like legend of the local scene kind of guy ends up booking bigger and bigger shows, having to
make compromises.
But
morally.
Like a lot of times though, I like to give them the benefit of the doubt and think that they don't really see themselves compromising. And it's almost like a subconscious thing, but like before you know it, you just kind of wake up and you're like, wow, what the fuck happened? Like,
yeah, hey, listen, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah, man. Harvey Dent.
There you go. Rest in peace.
Yep. But
rest in two pieces.
But yeah, dude, like I was talking to you about, like there's like promoters. I made this one call out status of a promoter. I never mentioned the name, but just by like what I said in it, everybody knew who it was. It got pretty saucy, but it was basically, I just made the status. I was like, I'm sick of seeing like tour packages of like 4 mid-tier bands come to like my area and have like 10, like be a festival of like 16 bands then, on a Saturday. Like, so what'll happen is this talent buyer will end up getting this package offer. He'll spend a stupid amount of money on it that's like no other person would bid on. So they get it on a Saturday or a Sunday. Then they make the whole thing like an all-day festival at the venue. There'll be like 3 stages, a bunch of bands on like a hierarchy of what slot you get based on how many tickets you sell. And before you know it, you got a guy that has like 12 locals on the band, all doing 50 to 100 tickets to play with like Escape the Fate or like Chelsea Grin or something, like Tilla. Before you know it, that dude made thousands and thousands of dollars just off of local bands buying their tickets, because like when you put that many local bands together from the same scene, you're pulling from the same group of people. Most people in bands are friends with the other people in bands. Therefore, it's the same scene of small people,
Buddy, I know exactly the shows you're talking about. Skate or Die Festival.
I was thinking of Tom Taylor Productions, but
Who? What? No.
Yeah, I don't care. But anyway,
but it sucks. It's kind of an unfortunate reality of the business.
And those people, for like you said, those are the people that normally have never been in a band before or anything.
Yes.
They don't have the empathy of some high school kid who's just asking their dad if they can buy like.
You said the magic word right there, empathy.
Yeah, dude, they don't know what they're going through. They're just feeding off these kids' passions and dreams. And then, like, I don't know, man, I've been that teenager that asked his dad to buy, like, 3 extra tickets to my show because some Fabio-ass motherfucker is telling me I can't play.
Yep.
It
sucks, man. It really sucks. And especially having to go back to your friends over and over again. Hey, Would you come to the show? Would you come to the show?
Not genuine. Like I've been there too. I've also been the guy. I can't do this anymore because I'm a fucking adult now. But as a teenager, I used to like pedal 6 shows at the mall and like sit outside a Hot Topic and be like, "Yo, you just picked up that Asking Alexandria shirt? Sick! You want to come check out my metalcore band? $10."
It's a little degrading too, right?
That would be so creepy if I did that right now. Like 29, I can't be doing that.
You guys like the Jonas Brothers?
Well, I got tickets in my pocket if you want some. $10.
Hey girls, you like BTS? You're gonna love my band. Doesn't sound anything like it, but I think you'll like it anyway.
It's just so bad, but that's like what you have to like. I mean, like think about it. What would you do if you like? I don't know. Say Norma Jean or something's coming to your venue, and the promoter's like, "Hey, I got 2 slots on this bill. I need at least 30 tickets on it."
Mm-hmm. You're gonna hustle. You're gonna hustle.
You would probably try to hustle, sell 10 of them, and then buy the other 20 because you're an adult. You don't got the time to be hustling.
Yeah, back in the day, we would have hustled. Now, again, like, 10 tickets, I could probably swing that.
Any logical person is just kind of like, who the hell are you? And why would I buy your shady fucking ticket? I'm just going to pick one up at the door.
Bro, like this is what I do. Hey, you guys have Apple Podcasts on your phone? Like, why don't you check out my show and listen to me talk about things that I think I know about but don't really.
I'm going to send you the shady pre-save link for my band's new single. You click it, and it's going to take you to some weird link afterwards, but I need it. It's important.
Yeah, it's going to ask you for your social security, but don't worry about that. It's secure, I promise.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. All right, so quick little lightning round here.
All right.
I didn't put this on the pre-show notes. I want to get your gut reaction here. All right, number 1, favorite venue you've ever played at?
Probably this venue called Vox in Wuhan, China.
Okay, you're gonna have to elaborate a little bit on that. You guys played in China?
Yeah, twice. We've been to China twice, Japan twice, and South Korea once. It's pretty
Holy
sick.
shit! So wait, I mean, how many? Do you know how many countries off the top of your head you've actually played in?
Including America, 5.
Okay.
We went to Canada too. We got offers to go to other ones, just so fucking expensive, dude.
Yeah.
But
I would think being in this genre of music, Europe would be like, especially like Germany, even would be.
Gotten a couple offers to go to the UK and some Europe stuff, but we just UK especially. But we just like I said, it's just so expensive getting your gear out there. Like you're not gonna like my band's not huge. We'll get like $200 or something to play out there.
Gotcha.
So it's not gonna cover the cost of the flights, the van rental, the translator, like the hotel room. But I mean, like, hell, it's worth the experience though, man. Like, I learned so much from doing some of those international tours. They're crazy.
Bro, I gotta imagine that's like one of the most fun things you could possibly do.
Yeah, we do really well over there too. Like we first in 2016, we had a Scent Like Wolves had a Japanese record label to start. That was the first label we ever got, was a Japanese record label called Maxstream Records, and then we signed a Weird Triumphant as well. Put our second full length Frigid Future out. That ended up like being one of the top 10 metalcore albums in Japan for a while. Then we got like asked to go over there. And
holy shit!
We went with this band called Sheep the Girl First from France. They're awesome.
That's a very French name for a band.
Shoot the Girl First.
Yeah, that is the most French thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, they're cool, man.
No offense to them, but
he's actually from Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah, he's the only American he flew over there. He's a cool dude. Yeah, then I mean, we went to China. Then that was pretty wild.
Crazy that's stuff. Badass.
Yeah, I mean that's the stuff that keeps me doing this, man. Like it's all about like just like I'll have that memory for the rest of my life, you know. So like no matter what terrible shit this calls me, like I fucking still played a show in China, you know.
Hell yeah.
Fucking
all right. Next question: favorite song to play, whether it's your own or a cover or anything like that. What's your favorite song to play?
Man, I don't know if I have a favorite song. What I love to do though is I love putting on like random stations on Spotify and just like jamming to them. I think one of my favorite things to play is probably the Collision Course EP with Jay-Z and Linkin Park.
Okay.
It's like so fun on drums, dude.
Criminally underrated.
It's like an incredible EP. It's like the best like mashup I've ever heard, I think.
All right. See, now I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm of the mind where you know, a lot of people that look at bands like Linkin Park or like Nickelback and they say, oh, these bands sold out. They're like pop, like mainstream corporate stuff. I don't go for that at all. Like, listen, the song fucking slaps. I like it, and I'm going to enjoy it. And if you don't like it, that's your fucking problem.
They just think it's trendy to shit on those bands for their success. Like, just they wrote a good song. Let them. If they kept writing the same song over and over again, they still kept putting out hits. Like, shut up and just accept it. Like, I mean, I don't know.
People like it. That's all you need.
Like a '90s alternative kick lately, just like listening to like one-hit wonders of like the '90s rock like alternative scene on Spotify. And it's just, I think about that all the time. I'm just like, all these people, like, I used to hate just shit on these bands just for the sake of shitting on them because I thought it was cool. Like, I don't know if I'm becoming an adult now. It's all clicking to me that these songs are good. Or if, I don't know, they just always were good and I was just being a dick about it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I you know, Nickelback is one of the most shitted on bands, like, in the world. And I got to be honest, some of the songs are legitimately good. And I got to a point in my life where they became like the punchline of so many jokes. And I was like, but you know what though? The music's not bad. Like, I mean, you don't have to like it, but you know,
someone like gave me tickets to Nickelback and like I had to drive to it like, up to like an hour. I would just still be like, all right. The reason I wouldn't buy tickets though, because they're probably like $150.
Yeah. I as a rule, I don't buy tickets to concerts anymore.
Yeah, it's a little pricey for me.
Yeah, I just in general. I just don't want to be around that many people. It's not about the music.
Yeah.
And plus, my current favorite band doesn't even tour in America, so what am I going to do?
Who is it?
Winston Surfshirt. It's an Australian band. It's a guy, the lead singer, the founder of the band is an English guy who like basically grew up in Australia. But it's kind of like, it's like a weird like indie soul kind of, not rock, not electronic, and it's not rap, but it's kind of got soul influence. It's really weird, but I really, really, really like it.
Now sometime.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't be more different from the stuff that I used to play, but that it just for whatever reason, I'm obsessed with it. Their newest album is called Apple Crumble. It came out in 2019, and it's from front to back. It's amazing.
It's awesome, man. It's funny. So I don't like listening to metalcore music or like most metal music, but it's really fun to play on the drums.
It's it's funny you say that because like I really have to be in a mood nowadays to put it on.
Yeah, I just don't. It's too much. Like I'll listen to a song and be like, all right, I got my metal fix for the day. It's like
I could still listen to Parkway Drive a lot.
Yeah,
they were one of my favorites.
They have a documentary coming out on Netflix soon. I just read today.
Parkway Drive.
Dude, I know. I was just like, it's called Viva La Underdog.
Oh, that's the line from Wild Eyes.
Oh yeah, and they had that tour last year. But yeah, man, I don't know. I was just like, wow. I remember this band like being. I've played with that band a couple times, dude. Like they're bro, as like an opener.
I remember when I was in my first band. Like our singer, he had found them on MySpace when Killing with a Smile was like their
that's what I found them on a Hot Topic DVD. I used to work at Hot Topic, so we had to like find out about music ahead of time and stuff like that.
You got me. I used to work at KB Toys. Okay, it was just a mall job.
Yeah.
But okay. All right. And last one, if you could pick one band or artist that was your biggest influence musically, who would it be?
Oh God, man. I don't know. Maybe gonna give you like two, but probably because I don't really. August Burns Red when they first came out, I don't really listen. Like, I don't like listening to metal too much anymore, so I don't like. But when I first heard like the drumming and stuff in that, it like straight up just like Matt Reiner just like changed the game for me, like drumming. And I also like. I don't know if you ever got a chance to talk to those guys or anything.
I never met them. No. Dude,
they're the most genuine, like down to earth, cool dudes you'll ever meet. Like they load in their own gear from most of the time and stuff. But they're one of the largest metalcore bands to like ever exist. But
it's
they're
nice.
Like I don't know. So like to me that I like almost like learned from that like humbleness of that they presented. Like that like. I don't know. It's you don't see that often from a band that gigantic. Like just
well, it's nice when you meet like people you look up to or that you really like, and they turn out to be really cool and really nice.
Very, very rare. And then probably Glassjaw. Like I love Glassjaw. Like
that's not what you hear about that much anymore. That's they were big for a minute, but you don't hear many people talk about them.
Yeah, I love that. Like, it's just like worship and tribute just like hit me at like just a perfect time in my life where I was I was like in 8th grade, I think, when it came out, and I was just like, what the hell is this? This is crazy to me. And I just everything about it just kind of like formed how I like listening to like metal music. And I'm in a new band now called The Difference Between. Well, the song coming out in July. This is already announced, so but we have a song coming out in July, and like it's basically like I'm stoked on it because it's like the whole sound of it is just like I found people like me who also like this old school post-hardcore sound. It's just like old, just like Lower Definition, Thrice.
I played the Lower Definition. We played at awesome. Centenary College in Hackettstown.
Hell yeah, man! They were probably sick. They just put out a song a couple weeks ago. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Crazy. It came out of it just like dropped out of nowhere. I was like, the fucking Lower Definition put out a song. It's been like 10 years.
They were pretty nice. I mean, that was the only time I met them. It was like a random show we were playing. But I mean, from what I remember, they were cool dudes. We were fucking nobodies, but that was the recurring story with my bands. All right.
That's how I think a lot of people feel, man.
Yeah. Cody, bro, it's really been a pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed this. So,
same here.
Before we get out of here, what do you got to plug? You want to tell them where they can find you, your social media, upcoming projects, whatever you got.
Right. Be that shameless plug guy, but
not shameless now. I asked you. You're answering a question. You're being a good guest.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Yeah, I play drums in the band Ascent Like Wolves. We just released an album called Mystic Auras. You can find it anywhere. Like listen to music. I play in another band called The Difference Between. It features ex-members of Amorosa and then like current and past members of the band Soft Spoken. We have a new song coming out on July 2nd, the first song. And then I'll be launching my own record label next month. It'll be an imprint of Weird Triumphant and The Orchard. So I'm really excited about that. And we have a handful of releases that come out swinging. So see what happens. But yeah, I appreciate you asking me about all that stuff, and dude, it's been great talking to you.
Likewise, I'd love to do it again too. You're not that far away, so
yeah, I'll drive up to New Jersey. It's like an hour and a half or so.
It's always a lot more fun to have people in the studio too.
Yeah, man, we'll drink some beers, like riff some stuff out. It'll be great.
Fucking A, man. I'll show you all the nerd shit in the studio.
I gotta check out your swords, dude. That's pretty sick. You got axes and stuff.
I got axes. I got nunchucks. I got lightsabers, which is my personal favorite.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Okay, tonfas. I got another lightsaber up there. I got weights too.
Do I have what? That's about it. I have a pair of nunchucks, but they're from the band Crystal Lake. I thought that was the coolest piece of merch I've ever seen. This band, like they're a Japanese band. They're fucking awesome. And they put out nunchucks with a really cool shirt, and I was like, well, fuck, I gotta buy this. They're the worst nunchucks ever.
Well, just on principle, you have to buy that.
That's like, did you see Kublai Khan put out a hammer that you can buy? Like, you can literally just buy a hammer that says Kublai Khan on it.
Like a regular, like a tool hammer, not like...
It's a pretty badass. It's a grisly looking hammer, but it's still a hammer at the end of the day. But it's because of their song, The Hammer. But I just said hammer 6 times there, so we're done now.
All right, so let's get out of here. That's it, folks. That was the podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure you go follow Cody. Check out all his stuff. Like I said, he was a cool guy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed recording it, and yeah, this is cool. Maybe we can get into more like some nerdy stuff, do like movie reviews or something. I don't know. And, I'm just spitballing here. What do you think, Clyde? He has no opinion, but that's to be expected because he's only a month old. Anyway, I'm not gonna ramble. I'm gonna get my baby out of this hot garage, and we're gonna go inside. So. You guys know the drill. apodamongstmen@gmail.com for any questions, comments, or concerns. For any business inquiries, also reach me there. Pod Amongst Men on Twitter and Instagram for any social media fuckery. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, like and subscribe. Make sure you follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, we're there. And that's about it. So I guess we'll see you next week. Peace.